Perhaps you're thinking of hosting your first afternoon tea, or maybe you're going to your first afternoon tea. Either way, the tea table can seem a little daunting at first. There's a lot of elements on the afternoon tea table. But everything that's on the table really comes down to the menu. Everything on the table, all the items, have a purpose. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Sonia, and if you're new here, thank you very much for joining me today. Today I thought I would show you how I lay out a table setting for an afternoon tea so you or your guests can understand what to expect on the afternoon tea table. Afternoon tea is the perfect excuse for pulling out your beautiful heirloom or special table linens that get put in a drawer and forgotten a lot of the time. Starting with a pretty tablecloth, which is simply and most practically to catch spills and protect your table. And if you don't have a tablecloth, that's fine. You can get by without it. But using one makes a statement, I think, that this is a special occasion. Now, no matter what you decide to serve, you'll always start with a small plate and a teacup and saucer. It's also nice to provide a water glass for your guests. Now, when it comes to your silverware, you need a spoon for tea, a small knife for spreading cream and jam on the scones, and a small fork, like a pastry fork for cake, if needed. Remember, afternoon tea is supposed to consist mainly of finger foods. Now, when it comes to napkins, smaller is better, like a small luncheon or a tea napkin works best. A 20 by 20 dinner napkin is really a little on the large side. I mean, if that's all you've got, then by all means use that. But really something around 10 by 10 or 12 by 12 inches or 30 by 30 centimeters works best. Now, when it comes to your tea, loose leaf or tea bags, that's what you have to decide. If you pick loose leaf, you will want each guest to have access to a tea strainer. Pick a good black tea like, say, for instance, English breakfast, and a Somme or Earl Grey, plus probably a fruity tisane or herbal tea will be necessary in case someone on your guest list isn't keen on black tea or they're watching their caffeine intake. Now that means at least 2 teapots to accommodate everyone. And if you're the host, the teapots should be within your reach. The host or hostess traditionally plays mother. Now, mother is an old term that's used for the person who pours everyone the first cup of tea. You hand then the cup to each guest for them to add their milk or lemon or sugar, whatever they want to put in. Alternatively, if it's a small group, you could opt for each guest to have their own small teapot. Now, even if you opt for tea bags, I still like the idea of a teapot just to hold the hot water. Also, if using bags, a tea bag squeezer is nice, so they don't have to wrap the tea bag string around their spoon. Now, tea creates a little bit of waste. Used tea bags, excess tea leaves, or even a little cold tea, crumpled sweetener packets, used lemon slices, all of that stuff. Everyone either needs a little side dish to discard those things, or what's known as a slop bowl for used items. And yes, that really is what it's called, is a slop bowl. Not to be confused with a slop jar, which is something that was kept under the bed in the 19th and early 20th centuries when people didn't want to get up at 3 a.m. and trudge out to the outhouse. That was a slop jar. This is a slop bowl, and it really does belong on the tea table, inelegant as it sounds. Now, anything will work for that as long as it's something deep enough to hold the waste and opaque. You don't really want a clear bowl taking all of that stuff in, because who wants to look at everybody's trash on the table? Now, what goes in the tea? Well, sugar cubes are neater than loose sugar, which can be spilled. So for that, you'll need sugar tongs. And some people prefer sweeteners, so you'll need some packets. Now, if you want to offer lemon slices, I like a little dish like this my grandmother gave me, but you can use any small plate along with a little pickle fork to pick up the slices. And of course, milk should be available for guests who want it in their tea, so you'll need a little milk jug. Now note that I said milk and not cream or half and half. Cream and half have such strong flavors that they really overwhelm the flavor of the tea. Now, your food. Whatever food you decide to serve, you have to decide what to put it on. Now, sometimes you'll find, very often, you'll find these 3-tiered, sometimes 2-tiered serving tea stands. They work great because there are 3 courses in an afternoon tea, and sometimes everything fits on one tea stand. So you put your savories down here on the bottom, your sandwiches, your open tart savories, something like that. Your middle is for your scones, and the top tier is for your desserts and pastries and little cakes and things like that. Now, it may be that you've got such an array of foods that 1 or 2 items, 1 or 2 courses will only fit on this tea stand. So you could put all of your savories on the bottom and the middle, and or the entire thing, and then you could maybe put the scones in a bread basket to keep them warm, and then perhaps put all of the desserts on a separate pretty plate or a cake stand like this. Any of that works just fine. It's whatever you decide. Now, what you do want to remember is if you put your scones in a bread basket, you definitely want to have a little dish or a couple of dishes to put your clotted cream and jam. I happen to have this dish that was given to me years ago, and it's unique because it's separated. So I can put the jam on one side and the clotted cream on the other, and then when you pass it to your guests, everything is passed together. And finally, your atmosphere. Flowers are always a really nice touch. If you can, fresh flowers are great. If you can't, silk flowers work just fine. The thing is to remember to keep it rather low profile. You want to be able to see everything on the table since it is a busy table, and you also want to be able to see your friends across the table so you can enjoy them and the atmosphere. Also, background music is great. I like something light and classical. In fact, on my YouTube page, I have a playlist of appropriate afternoon tea music, and it's things like Bach, Mozart, Vivaldi's Four Seasons. That sort of thing is the perfect light little background music. Now, it's up to you, of course. If you think show tunes go with cucumber sandwiches, you go for it. That'd be great. And there you have it, a beautiful, functional place setting for your afternoon tea. I hope you'll consider having an afternoon tea, hosting one yourself this year in 2024, or at least going to one. If you have never been, you really should. It's a lovely experience. Let me know in the comments if you're planning anything like that this year. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, hit that like button, and consider subscribing for more tea videos. Until next time, bye-bye.